Mark Williams Thomas has slammed people with their own theories who ignore the evidence. Now, it's only been a few days since Mark Williams Thomas released his video online, and he stated that he will be releasing that information soon regarding why Jay Slater left that Airbnb. The problem is, people have been waiting a very long time for this information, and people have been getting frustrated with him. It's got to the point where people have started to say things online. Now, people showing their frustration online doesn't surprise me at all. You see, the thing is, because he said that Jay Slater was scared when he left that Airbnb and that Jay Slater left with 2 knives, people have been waiting months for an update from him, and then he just came out the other day and said he's had a few months break and that he's going to let out this information soon. The problem is, how long are people going to wait for this information? There are so many conspiracy theories in relation to what he said. Now Debbie Duncan is upset with him as well, because it was reported in the Mail the other day that she's really upset with the fact that he's been posting content online regarding her son's case, but he hasn't actually given any information that's useful. Debbie Duncan went as far as saying that because of what Mark Williams Thomas has been doing, she hasn't even been sleeping properly, because all the online trolls have started again, especially on TikTok. Now, I do wish that he would just come out with whatever he knows instead of just holding on to this information. So, going back to the title of this video, let's have a look at some of the comments that people have been saying online about Mark Williams Thomas and what he's been replying to them. On the 17th of October at 6:05 AM, Sadie May sent a message to Mark Williams Thomas online. Now, firstly, this person has got the same surname as Lucy May. Now, is this person related to Lucy Law in any sort of way? Now, Lucy May Law is believed to be the last person Jay Slater contacted before his phone died. Even though Brad has stated that he was the last person to speak to Jay Slater, they haven't even been able to get that part of the story straight yet. So back to the message, let's see what Sadie May said. She stated, "We know you was paid off. Jay didn't fall to his death. All his mates are lying, including Chris and Luggy, and you're covering for them, especially Roman." Now, Mark Williams Thomas hit back at this comment and he stated, "Really? This is sadly what Jay's family have had to put up with. People who have their own theories, who ignore what the evidence says." Now, unfortunately for Mark, it only gets worse. You see, there was more comments. The next comment by somebody named Ian. He said, "You're the one who mentioned the knives and fearing for his life. So in turn, you're the one who's fueling the rumors." Now, Ian is quite right here. If Mark Williams Thomas didn't state in the beginning that Jay Slater was scared and that's why he left the Airbnb, he wouldn't be in this situation in the first place. All he has to do is explain what he said. Show the evidence for what you're talking about. Give us some receipts, Mark. There are so many people speculating about what Mark said. All he has to do is tell us the truth so that we can clear all this information up. He's the one who's contributing to so much misinformation out there. Now, the comments only get worse, guys, and I really don't blame the public for being so upset with Mark. I mean, he's been dangling this information and these people have been waiting for answers and he's not giving them. It's not just the public that have been waiting. Debbie Duncan is waiting for this information. She's given him the go-ahead. He could have easily released that information today, but he still hasn't done it. It just doesn't make sense what he's waiting for, and people believe that this is some sort of publicity stunt for him to advertise his other cases. Let's see what other people think about this situation. Well, there was somebody called St. George, and they stated the following: "Jay didn't fall, and you know it. If you're going to come out and say he did, you're useless. There's a cover-up with Jay's friends. Something happened on the beach, which hasn't been debunked. Sort yourself out, lad." Now, this is a really good comment if you think about it, guys, because Mark Williams Thomas has now stated that he believes that this was an accident all along. Whereas in the beginning, he kept talking about how this was suspicious and that was suspicious. So it seems like that he's backtracking. Now, this person has stated that there's a cover-up with Jay's friends, and there definitely seems to be a cover-up. Now, St. George is right here, because if it wasn't a cover-up, there wouldn't be so many red flags. We wouldn't be still talking about this case till today. Because there's so many unanswered questions, we can tell that it is a cover-up. We're not stupid. I just wish that Mark Williams Thomas could see that it was a cover-up, instead of trying to backtrack now. Now St. George said something else interesting. Something happened on the beach which hasn't been debunked. Now that is very, very true. Now this beach video hasn't truly been debunked properly. In fact, if you've watched the Tom Hilton series that I've made, I've even been able to match up the voice with Lucy Law. I asked the public if they think that it's the same person. There were so many comments of people saying that this is definitely Lucy Law at the beach. In fact, I'd go as far as saying that 100% of the people agreed that the two voices were the same. The person from the party, which was Lucy Law, and the voice from the beach was the same person. Has Lucy Law been lying to us all along? And has she been involved in some sort of cover-up? So is it possible that something did happen at this beach and Jay was stabbed? There has even been people in Tenerife that have confirmed that this beach video has been taken where it has been stated that it has been taken. You see, I said it before, is Mark Williams Thomas a detective or is he a TV presenter? Because he hasn't seemed to try and debunk anything in this case. All he's done is put out a couple statements and then disappeared for a few months. Let's have a look at a couple of responses that Mark Williams Thomas has made to some comments before we move on to his latest video. There was a comment by somebody named That's Just Jojo, and she stated, "Why don't you tell her your findings then? Don't you think she has the right to know, not via social media?" Now Mark Williams Thomas replies, "She, Debbie, knows everything I know, and right now I have chosen, for the family's sake, not to reveal it all." Now this comment is so baffling because if you watch the video that I made yesterday, we talked about what Debbie stated to the Daily Mail, and she apparently stated the opposite. She said that this man is causing her a lot of agony and she just wishes that he would come out with whatever he knows. Now, although the media can exaggerate things and twist things, I find it hard to believe that they've made up this whole article. And the article does state that Debbie Duncan spoke directly to the Daily Mail, and that's why it was exclusive. Something doesn't seem right here, guys. Something just doesn't seem to add up. I can smell a rat here. Hev states the following: "Think you need to tell the truth, Mark. 100. Mark Williams Thomas replies, "Yeah, that's what I am doing. Don't believe all you read online and in papers." Now Mark, even if we don't believe all of it as you state, it can't all be untrue, can it really? I mean, the Daily Mail can't make up everything, otherwise they'd be done for defamation. I mean, the fact that you're trying to say that it's the papers that are making this up just doesn't seem to add up to me. I mean, what are we saying here? That Debbie Duncan didn't even have an interview with the Daily Mail? There's not a single thing in that article that sheds anything positive about you. Now, there's one final comment that I wanted to go through before we move on to the video. Now, this is a very interesting comment with a very interesting reply from Mark Williams Thomas. FIFA Noob stated the following: "Ayub didn't say Jay was scared, Brad didn't say Jay was scared, Lucy didn't say Jay was scared when he left the Airbnb. So who did you speak to that said Jay left because he feared for his safety?" This is the exact question that's been running through my mind, guys. I've been thinking, who did he speak to that told him that Jay was scared? Now Mark Williams Thomas gives an interesting reply to this comment. He states the following. He says, "Not true. Have you spoken directly to each party?" Now with this statement, he's obviously implying that the friends in fact have been lying to us all along and that they knew that Jay Slater was scared. Now that's apparently what either Brad, Ayub or Lucy told him. Now I doubt very much that Ayub Qassim told him, because Ayub Qassim wouldn't want him to have that impression now, would he? Because he was the last person to actually be with Jay Slater, apparently. So did either Brad or Lucy say this to Mark Williams Thomas, and is that why he's been stating that Jay Slater was scared? You see, the thing is, if Jay Slater's friends knew that he was scared, and Mark Williams Thomas knew that as well, why didn't Mark Williams just tell us? I mean, he didn't even have to give their names. All he had to do was say that Jay Slater's friends told me that he was scared when he left the Airbnb. Why is he making it into such a big deal?
I wasn't going to post again in relation to Jay Slater, but I really think that I've just got to say a couple of things.
Mark, I bet you are going to tell us a couple of things since the last video. But the thing is, I'm guessing that you're still not going to give us an update.
It's so much inaccurate reporting, both in terms of the newspapers, but specifically online. People who, of course, think they know the answers.
Well, if you know the answers, why don't you just come out and tell us? All you keep doing is telling us that you've got all the answers, but you never actually give them.
They've done more investigation than I have. They know everything. Well, the reality is I've spoken to everybody bar one person.
The reality is you've spoken to everybody but one person, and that one person was one of the last people to be with Jay Slater, so you've got no idea if he's involved in Jay Slater's death or not. The one person you're talking about is one of the people that took Jay Slater to the Airbnb, the same Airbnb which you said Jay Slater was scared and he had to leave. You can't just pick and choose what's important and what isn't, Mark. The truth of the matter is you've got no idea at all if Rocky was involved or not, because Rocky has got an ideal excuse that he just fell asleep when he got to the Airbnb. How convenient.
And at every stage I kept Debbie and the family updated. I've spoken to Debbie in detail at the beginning of October. I spoke to her again yesterday. I spoke to her again today. There is no issue between...
Mark, there is an issue. She wants you to come out with whatever you know. She doesn't want you to hold it in and keep playing around with people like this. She's even stated that she hasn't even been sleeping properly because of your latest posts. Now I find it very hard to believe that the Daily Mail has made all of this up.
Between Debbie and I have huge respect for her and the family who have been through the most horrific situation, not just losing their child, but also having to go through all of that media coverage. They were in the spot.
Well, all you've done, Mark, is contribute to all of this coverage. You see, the problem is all you've been doing is speculating within this case. Now you say that you've got evidence, but you never actually release it. So how can we believe you? Debbie has made a clear statement saying that the TikTok trolls have returned because of you.
Right, not just on a national, but on an international level.
Yes, it did go on an international level, didn't it, Mark? You see, you flew over there and made press conferences on the street about this situation, and you talked about how suspicious this case is.
It's a huge respect for them. Let's just consider, before we post something, what we're saying and what the impact is on the family. But the reality...
I feel like you should be looking in the mirror, Mark, and saying this to yourself. It doesn't make sense. You're the one that's making an impact on the family with all your speculative posts.
The reality is no issue between Debbie and I. Huge respect, and I'll be there to continue to support her.
Sorry to tell you this, mate, but by the sound of things, she doesn't want your support. Again, you had a great opportunity to tell us what you know in this post here today. I really do think that Mark Williams Thomas shouldn't delay this situation any further, and he should just come out with whatever he knows.
As the days go forward, and of course the next stage for them will be an inquest.
I really do hope that the truth comes out in this inquest, so that justice can be served for Jay Slater and his family.
A very difficult time for them.